Friday, May the 15th. I am Rachel Witt, the Art Programming Coordinator at Westminster Village in West Lafayette, Indiana. And it is time for another episode of Friday in the Studio at Home. So here we are again with Jokes with John and Frances. Frances is getting her morning love today. Just smile for the camera, Frances.
Come on, smile.
No smiling for the camera. All right, John, our theme this week is food. What jokes do you have for me?
Hey Mom, how fast is milk?
I don't know, John. How fast is milk?
It's pasteurized before you know it.
Okay, that's pretty cute. What do you? Yes, that's very. Frances also agrees. It's pretty good. All right, give me joke number 2. What is it?
What's the difference between mashed potatoes and pea soup?
I can think of a lot of differences between mashed potatoes and pea soup.
Well, it's simple. You can mash potatoes, but you can't pea soup.
Oh. Oh, that's so bad. Jokes by a 12-year-old boy.
Hey, what do you expect?
And that's another episode of Jokes with John.
Yup.
That's right, it's time for Art on the Internet. And I've got a couple of interesting online resources. One of them, staying in touch with our theme for food this week, is an artist whose name I cannot pronounce. He is from the Netherlands. He is Zalf Sparnay. Not really sure. I'm going to put the spelling of his name on the screen here, and I would encourage anyone who is able to pronounce it to get in touch with me. Let me know how to do it correctly. But he is an interesting painter. He's currently alive, still working, and he is known for as really the leader in the hyper-realistic painting, so painting that looks like a photograph. If you've seen his work, it probably has been his fried egg paintings. Those are kind of been very popular, very well circulated. But he actually has a remarkable collection of work, and his website is set up in an interesting way. So if you go to his website and take a look at it, and click on Works up at the top, you will see at the top there's a kind of a chronology of his paintings, and all the way, he goes to before 1996 on the far side, where you can see his style is kind of developing. And then you move in. I think some of the most interesting examples of this hyperrealism are in the 1997 to 2002 range. Click on that. He has painted plastic wrap on food. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's amazing. It will look like a photograph, a very, very well done photograph. To you photographers out there, take a look. You'll really in particular enjoy this one, but you can continue to scroll through all the way up to his recent work, and in his recent work you will see the egg picture that I referenced. But it's definitely worth some time to go and take a look and be amazed by what the truly hyper-realistic painter is doing right now, making art, and his subjects are entirely food. So we'll change gears just slightly, because the Lincoln Center has set up the Lincoln Center at Home. So I've put the URL on here, and they've had some remarkable things on, and particularly if you're a fan of ballet or opera, or Yo-Yo Ma plays Dvorak, you can watch that one. He has got there's just a little bit of everything out here, and some really, really interesting productions. So that website is worth a look, and you can find some fun, interesting arts, different genres out there. Elizabeth, if you're watching this, there's opera, and I'm pretty sure that it's opera you will like. So with that said, let's move on. Let's just make a little art. time for project number 1. So art, food art, I always, of course, think of Andy Warhol and the Campbell soup can, of course, that type of pop art thing. But we're going to do a little twist on that today. So you'll start with a board here, and this process is called an acrylic gloss photo transfer. But I'll kind of show you as we go along. So I'm going to start just by squeezing on a bit of kind of this purpley color paint. So I want to point out to you that I am not being careful. In fact, I don't want you to be careful. I want you to kind of scribble a little bit with this. And because we want all that, ooh, I missed a spot. Okay, I'm backwards and sideways. So we want it to be kind of sloppy. Sloppy is good because we need that texture to show up in there. Now I'm going to add a little bit of another color, a little bit of a yellow, just to give it some interest. And again, I'm not going to be careful. Now you have probably heard me say before that you shouldn't mix purple and yellow together. They make brown. So we want to be careful to not mix the paint. I'm just going to kind of add it. There we go. Ta-da! It doesn't look like very much, does it? But here's the thing. We're going to let that dry pretty thoroughly. And then I'm going to get a little container of this product right here. This transparent clear tar gel. Sounds good, doesn't it? It'll come in one of those little cups, don't worry. And you're going to brush that over the surface of your paint. And I've got a picture here of one that I made earlier as a demonstration. But you'll take this clear tarry substance and use your brush and just spread it out over the surface. And we want it to be pretty nice and thick. Because what we're going to do is place an upside down, or place an image, right side up. We're going to place a photocopied image. It does have to be photocopied. So I'm going to give you a variety of different black and white photos of food. And this is kind of where we get a little bit of that Warhol type of appearance when he does those multiple exposures. It's going to look a little bit like that. But you'll take this and press it down into that gloss gel medium on your paper and rub, 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 rub. So you get all the air bubbles out and everything's really firmly attached, and you just leave it alone. Don't touch it again. And you give it back to me. And what happens, in this one, it's a little bit hard to see because the photo I chose is a little bit too dark. But I painted red and green on the underside. You saw that in the picture earlier. And I overlaid a picture of strawberries on top of it. And you can see that texture in here a little bit. This is a really kind of interesting piece of art for a note card. And each of yours should work out to probably be 2 cards per piece. What happens is when you send it back to me, I use a water and release all of that paper backing and just leave the ink that the copy machine printed out. We just leave the ink on top of the painted color and it shows through, kind of like a reverse transparency. So a lot of times it'll be done with people's, with photographs of people. It's a neat way to send a photo to a friend. It is a neat way to make something that's personalized. So I will send you, because it's Food Week, I'm going to send you food photocopies of some form or fashion. A little bit lighter than my strawberries here, a little bit less ink on that. But I'm going to send you some photocopies and you can choose from those. I think it's a great one to practice on. And if you do it and you fall in love with it and you want to make a picture of, oh, say grandma or grandpa and put your face on a card, or that, say, of grandchildren and put their faces on and send it to them, they'll be amazed, shocked and amazed. You can surprise them with a very Andy Warhol-like finish in kind of a pop art style. So that is project number 1. We're on to project number 2. And you know, I've got not 1, but 2 special guests this week. Welcome back. It is time for Let's Make Art project number 2. And I have 2 people to help me today. Our subject is food this week.
So where else would I go but to dining? So I have Elise.
Hi.
And I have Brenda. Elise, you usually work in the pub, right?
Yes.
Brenda, where do you work?
Pub.
Also the pub.
Yes.
We're having a little pub party, but we are in the main dining room. You might notice you're a little farther away, and we're gonna try and talk really loud, but I gotta give a shout out to Tanya. I just went and drafted her, and she's holding the camera so we can all three get in. All right, so we have a project today. Are you ladies ready?
Yes.
Do you think you're artistic?
I can be.
She can be. Do you think you're artistic?
No.
Okay, so those of you who are sitting out there and you're like, I'm just not artistic, Rachel, I'm not going to do it. This is where I prove to you that anyone truly can do these projects. So ladies, start with an art towel.
Okay.
Spread it out in front of you. We're using some really high-tech art making equipment today. All right, so this is just plain copy paper. You'll get a sheet of that in your kit. I only brought one spray bottle, so in the interest of good hygiene, I'm going to spray both of their papers. You're just going to spray your paper down until it's wet. Why do we want the paper to be wet, you ask? Because it will fit in your salad spinner better that way. So, ladies, take your salad spinners, put them there in front of you,
All right.
shove your paper down in there, wet side up. Just kind of push it down. You want it to be down in the middle. Yep, just tuck it in like you're putting a coffee filter in the machine to make coffee.
All right.
All right, are you ready? Now, I've got two sets of color. Would you like to be the cool colors or the warm colors?
I'll be the warm.
She'll be the warm colors. Conveniently, they're on her side. Okay, so what you're gonna do is start with any one of your paint bottles. It doesn't matter which one. And like you're putting dressing on a salad, you're just gonna kind of squeeze yourself a circle inside of there. Perfect. Okay, that's good. Look at that. You're making art. It's all good. All right, so close it up. Now pick your second color and do that again. Okay, so we're going to do spin number one. Put your lid on your salad spinners.
All right.
Now these are kind of cool. You just have to push them down a couple times and they'll go full speed. All right, that's good. Just let them spin for a minute.
All right.
This is also exercise, so we're calling this physical therapy in addition to art today. All right, so it comes to a stop. Oh, you need to spin again a little bit. Yeah, give it another good crank. Get it to go. Here we go. There we go. We want it to really go. You can kind of peek in the side holes and see how it's doing. So go ahead and lift your lid off. And now you're going to do the same thing with your other two colors.
Okay.
Well, you had a really good one. She had a really good one. Focus. Yeah, there you go. Really put some paint in there. Focus on the middle. Oh, look at you. You got it. You put ketchup on your fries, don't you, instead of dipping?
No.
You don't?
No.
You look
Getting
like,
all my fingers.
well, use the art towel. That's what they're for. Art towels are for paint. Let's see, this is good. Yep, you're good, ladies. Put the lid back on. Spin away. Give them maybe 3 or 4 really good cranks. Really get them spinning. Good, just let them rest.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Now we got paint moving. So how's it been? What are you doing now, since you're not in the pub?
Right now, both Brenda and I are actually working in the main dining, and
Oh,
we're
okay.
the ones delivering the food on the carts and dipping it up, and
Keeping track. See that?
Yeah.
Dinner's been good lately too, hasn't it?
it has.
I do. I eat lunch here and I like it. It's good. All right, so now lift your lids. Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect. Okay. Glitter. I haven't brought you glitter in a while. It's time for glitter. So, open your glitter containers, ladies, and dump it just right in the middle, like a little pile.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Well, these are cool. Oh, yep, just drop. Oh, no, see, this is, boom. Look, when it comes to glitter, you gotta go big or go home, right? Just go. Okay, put your lid back on. Okay. There we go. All right, so just really crank it hard. You can go 5 or 6 this time. More to the exercise. You can do your right hand and your left hand if you want. And we're just gonna let those kind of stop. I just can't imagine how much strength. You're probably ready for the pub too, aren't you? Wouldn't it be nice to see people again?
I know we're ready
Oh,
for it
yeah.
to open, and I know lots of residents are ready to open for it to open.
We don't want a little bit of that, don't we? All right. We'll lift the lids again.
All right.
Now, this is the part where you have, you can be brave or not brave. So one thing you could do is just put the lid back on it and send it back to the studio and let me fish it out of there. But if you're feeling really brave, usually there's some clean corners. I can't wait to show you these. Okay, take a look at that. Okay, look what you did. It wasn't that hard, was it?
No.
All right, lift yours off. It was fun. She just said it was fun. There you go. So what happens, I'm tapping this, I need to tap yours too. Here, will you hold yours up? There we go. I tap it off. The water, some of it sticks to the paper because it's wet, but it'll come off. What's fun about this is the paper is really kind of negligible. The paint becomes the body of it, and we can cut it down. These make fantastic note card art, and we're just running low on note card art again. So, there you have it, salad spinner art.
Awesome.
Has to do
That's
with
fun.
food, kind. It was fun.
Yeah.
They recommend. Thumbs up.
10 out of 10.
All right, on to project number 3. And last but not least, number 3. We've got a fun little ceramic project for you now. Now, some of you might immediately tune me out and say, Rachel, I'm not going to do ceramic. Okay, but I will tell you this week's particular project, if you have ever made a peanut butter sandwich before, you can do this project. Truly, that's as complicated as it gets. And I need quite a few of you to do it because what we're doing is creating a set of ceramic containers for the dining room, the main dining room here at Westminster Village. We have to live in hope that it's going to reopen and we're going to be able to put those beautiful flower arrangements on the table. And one of my complaints about fresh flowers, I love fresh flowers, don't get me wrong, but one of the things I don't love is when the water gets a little bit off. Maybe we put them out on a Friday and by Monday when we get back to them they're a little bit skunky. Well, I would like to hide that a little bit with a set of ceramic containers. So we have Lynn Corrigan has continued to throw for us. We'll show you that here in just a bit when we look at what's new in the studio. But Lynn has thrown this kind of nice size container for us. When this fires down, it'll probably be about 4 inches tall. And we are putting this lace effect on the outside of it. Isn't that cool? Really excited about that. And best part about it is it's not terribly complicated to do. So you start here with this vessel, something like this. There might be a few different shapes, but they're all going to be about basically the same size. We'll all have the same outside finish and we'll all be glazed in the same way. So you'll also receive in the kit a piece of lace. This is a really nice thin lace, but it's a fairly inexpensive one, so it works well for applying the design. And I'm just laying it over the surface of this. And it'll be nice and big so you can do about half of the pot at a time. So I'm just holding it on here with my hand, and you'll get a container of a magical product called Slip. This looks attractive. Don't worry, I'm going to send you a better little container of that. You're not going to get the whole vat of Slip. But this Slip is about the consistency of peanut butter, I mentioned before. And you're just going to take it and spread it over the surface, just like you're putting peanut butter on a sandwich. There we go. Always can find a way to bring food into the topic, can't I? And wasn't that fun with the dining personnel just now? I asked Ricky for 2 volunteers. They might have been voluntold, but they were very gracious. They were wonderful to work with. Oh, I love working at this place. My goodness, there are good people here I get to work with, aren't there? Especially you all. All right, so I've coated my lace in a very thorough fashion with Slip. So I am going to just peel it off. Ready for this bit of magic?
Would you look at that? It's pretty fantastic, right? And so for this next part, all I'm going to do is put my hand inside of it so I can get a little bit better hold of it, and lay that same piece of lace over the top of it, making sure that I cover all my gaps. You really can't mess this up. I don't want it to be something you're afraid of messing up, because you just really can't. But I've just laid this over the surface of it on the other side. I'm going to coat the whole thing in slip, rip it off again, and I'm going to let it dry. You can return it to me, they'll all be fired. And when we glaze those, we're going to stain glaze them so that we can just see that lace detail. It'll really show up in a really bright and wonderful way. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm trying to do a full set for the main dining room. That's 36 vases, if you don't know the count. And so I do hope that I have a number of you, even if you have never tried ceramics before, this is a great one to do. I'll send art towels, we'll keep your space clean. Can't wait to see how our vases come out. So that's it for making art this week. And let's go ahead and move on to what's new in the studio. There's some neat stuff I want to tell you about. Okay, we're going to keep what's new in the studio a little bit short this week because I've got a lot of show and tell. Oh my land, do I have show and tell. So, but what's new in the studios? I really want to focus on some of the ceramics. I mentioned a couple times the relationship with Lynn Corrigan. Lynn and I did not know each other before all of this started, so it's amazing to me that we've worked this out so well, given no previous relationship. But Lynn is, of course, quarantined at home, and she's a very skilled potter, and she's really thrilled to help us. And so we've made a little trade, Lynn and I. I am going to recycle her clay for her here in the pugger. See Peter behind me? I'm going to recycle clay for her. She is going to throw clay for us, and so on the wheel. So that is so helpful to me, and that lets us keep ceramics running really for as long as we need to. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And I want to show you kind of some of the first fruits of that relationship. First things first, here in the studio I have sets of these, and these are what's new in the studio in terms of some bowls and some other containers, some vases. All of these are recently out of the kiln, and they're all available for glazing. And I have some of you who already have taken glazing work on. I still have more available. Glazing is very much painting and not even with precision necessarily. But these are great projects for us to move through and have a little fun with, and I'll be introducing some different glazing techniques as well in coming weeks so that we can play around with that a little bit more. And then we also have, reach down here and pick this up. This might be video evidence of me dropping a whole bunch of wet clay on the floor, but take a look at this. This is just one of the boards that Lynn has sent to us. And so we have a lot of wet clay containers as well on hand now, and I'm able to send those out and finish those. I just showed you the lace project that we're going to be doing for the dining room tables, but there's plenty there too to take on for personal projects, for bazaar projects, for gifts, for all those types of things. And then finally I have to show you a few of these. Here we go, big reach. She's thrown a number of these. Sorry, I've got the newspaper in there. She has thrown a bunch of these really sweet little lidded containers. These are also kind of fantastic to have for bazaar, for personal use or gift. And we're going to be, I think, running mostly decals on these. So that'll be another different project that comes through. If there are any of these that you're really interested in, the best thing if you want to pick a particular piece out is to make an appointment for a studio visit with me, and we'll come in, we'll get your initials on the bottom, and it will be your pot or pots. But if you're generally open to doing some glazing work or are interested in me just picking a pot out for you, well, I'll do that too. So just get in touch with me. It isn't all about ceramics in here, but I do have a lot of fun with the ceramics. Those are normally classes I teach. And so I'm going to try and figure out how to teach it a little bit better here over the television screen. It's good to have challenges in life, right? And on that note, oh my goodness, I'm so excited for show and tell. I have to show you. Wait till you see. Alrighty, so lots and lots of projects coming in this week. In fact, you might wonder sometimes why it takes so long. Well, it's keeping track of whose stuff is whose, and then finishing it, and then planning it. And so there does tend to be a little bit of a lag. Thank you for being patient with me. I really appreciate it. But let's take a look what we have. So first things first, the last 3 birds are out of the kiln. Whew, finally, we started this in January. So the last 3 birds are out. Aren't those great? I love that guy. He's got a fantastic beak. This one appears to be sticking its tongue out. He's gonna look really good on top of a post out in that dahlia garden. So the last 3 birds are out of the kiln, and I can finally proceed with preparing the last set to go out. So we should have those out fairly shortly. We also just had a kind of a more standard, this is an omelet cooker, another one. I think it's the last one also in the mill. And this is a sweet little goldfish vase. Isn't that cute? Mary did it. I got a chuckle out of that when I saw it. And then we had a set right before one of our last classes. We were working on a project called the Egg Roll Project, where we took a piece of clay and put it on a bowl and then used a wooden egg to roll and kind of dimple and smooth and thin the surface out. So I demonstrated that a few times, more than a few. 5. It looks like I demonstrated it 5 times. And so I was very grateful that Marge and Mario glazed these for me in 5 different complementary colors. And I think they make this kind of great organic bowl finish. I could see putting this out if you have a series of condiments or some little nuts and cheese or tidbits. I don't know, we call them tidbits at my house. But they make a nice little stacking. I'll try and not drop them on the floor. See how they kind of stack neatly and look kind of interesting. So those again were just the sample pieces. Those will be things that'll end up in the bazaar probably. But I wanted to give you a peek at them because many of you have egg roll dishes started that are just sitting here in the studio, and well, we may need to move ahead to glazing those. All right, so we have 1 gourd back already. Now I obviously haven't sealed this yet. John and Joyce put hearts. They made their color art paper and they put hearts on there. So I wanted to show you their gourd in particular because it might help you understand the next phase of this. I have not put the hole in it intentionally. It's because I take the whole thing and dip it down in marine varnish. So it'll last a really long time. So the whole thing gets varnished in that way, and then I come in with a spade bit on my drill and put your hole in there, and also put a wire hanger up here in the top. That'll last a long time. So gourds are starting to come in. I still have a handful of gourds, not very many, but I have a handful. Another really popular project this week has been the flower card. So I want to show you a few of those. Take a look at that. Isn't that pretty? And I have to keep them in separate bags or I can't keep them organized. So here's another one. Take a look at those. Aren't those lovely? And they, of course, open right up. Oops. There we go. I got it. And they work either way. There we go. Kind of hard to show you on the video. What I appreciate about them is that they fold together again very, very easily. And then I have to show you very creative lady here did this one, and I love how the salt created that effect on the surface of it, but she took her centers really another step further. And if you can look and see how she kind of did the dots as the instructions said, but then she took her brush and kind of thinned those out and gave a really clever center. Isn't that beautiful? I was really excited when I opened up and saw what she did. So these kits are still available, and you are welcome to ask for those. We'll continue those on for another week or so. And then finally, scarves. Scarves have been coming in. And of course, I need to process them right away because they've been sitting for a while. So I had to show you a few of these. This one, take a look at this one. This is Helen's. Now, here I'm gonna put your scarf on, Helen. Take a look at how they look when they're kind of bunched up. Isn't that lovely? And you get, I'm not tying the scarf very well, am I? So she's kind of got a green and pink. It's hard to see, but there's also quite a lot of blue in there as well. This next one is Carol's. Carol has a very, very strong pink pattern that emerged on hers. And see how that looks all together? I was really thrilled with that. She's got a lot of beautiful bright pink in there and also some softer blues and teals. And then Ruth Ann has got this one here. And it's almost gray. She used some black tissue paper. I'm afraid these aren't transferring to video very well. I wish they were. They're beautiful in person. These are, she's kind of got this almost black newsprint dye that's happened in hers. She used some black tissue in hers. I was really pleased with how that color scheme developed as well. So I have just one scarf left, one kit left. So if you happen to be the first one to get to me and say you'd like to do one, I will be happy to send it your way. If not, we will do something like this again at some point. I'm out of Easter egg pellets, so that's all there is to it. Okay, I think that's it for show and tell. I'm sure that I'm missing something important, but I think that's it. Let's move on to FAQ. And that brings us to FAQ with Fred and Barney. Where are they? There they are. They're hiding out, laying low, literally. FAQ, one question I get asked a lot is when? When will you have this? When will I do that? When, timing. And in the beginning, when we started Art Kits, I had fewer kits to do and I could do them pretty much on demand. But as the volume has increased, so last week I sent out 50 art kits. Good job, 50 art kits last week. That was a lot to do. And I'm so excited to do it. I'm so glad you asked for them. But they take a little bit more time for me to get all of that out, and I'm not always able to respond as quickly. So I thought setting a schedule would help me be more efficient and would help you have a little bit better idea of when I can be, when you can expect from me. So I'm on vacation Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So next week's going to be a little bit of a reset. I'm really looking forward to staying at home with my kids and sleeping in a little and maybe drinking an extra cup of coffee and petting the puppy. Look at the puppy. I told you I'd tell you about her. Her name is Fern. And we've had her a week now. She's 8 weeks old. And she is settling in nicely. She has really been sweet and a great distraction for the kids who are charged with house training her. So I'm just preparing them for parenthood, right? It's important work that we do as parents. So anyway, when I get back, the week of Memorial Day, art appointments with me. So one-on-ones in your home or here in the studios, those are going to be scheduled for Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then art kits will go out on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will use that time for prepping and planning projects and getting materials around, recording these videos, and making sure that I'm able to do what I say I'll do. So I think that this kind of better scheduled piece will work out better for everyone. Live Well Personnel is able to devote some time to delivery to help me out again on Wednesday and Friday afternoons. So that's going to be kind of what you can expect going forward from me. The other thing is, if it's a beautiful day and you decide to take a walk outside or something along those lines, please don't worry about staying at home to wait for me. You can put your art kit bowl on the floor right outside of your door And even if you're not home, we will pick that up and leave you the new kit if you've requested one. So again, that'll be Wednesdays and Fridays in the afternoon, and hopefully that will simplify things. I do not want you sitting in your house upset with me, waiting for me to arrive. Life is short. Be upset with me about something else, perhaps. I'm just joking. I think I need to take a vacation. Don't be upset with me. Thank you for your kindness and your support. I am so grateful for all of you and for this work that I get to be here and do. I'm so glad that you are well. I am well. We'll be well together. Have a great week.